Hello, beautiful souls, and thank you for joining me today. I was in the habit of doing new moon and full moon readings, and then I got a little overwhelmed and I took a step back. And I've been showing up live on Facebook doing weekly community readings, and it's been awesome. But I really love working with the energy of the new and the full moon. And so it got me thinking, how can I work with that energy more deeply? And who can I bring that to? So I have a couple special announcements that I have to share. But first, I'm going to do a full moon and Gemini reading for myself. Now, generally, I would record these to kind of just put out there in the sphere for anybody watching. Um, But every time I did that, I was like, wow, this feels like it's really for me. And so I am going to do my own reading for myself in the hopes that whatever is coming up for me resonates with those of you who are watching. So I already took the time to shuffle and lay out my cards. I really haven't looked at them. So I'm going to just take a moment to tune in. And allow myself to just be open to the messages that are here for me now. And it is my intention as well that this message finds whoever needs to hear it most. So, first, how have my perceptions of the world around me changed in the last 6 months? So, each new and full moon cycle is 2 weeks. Each lunar cycle starts with a new moon and then culminates in a full moon and then cascades back down into new moon energy. But there's also a 6 month scale, right? Because the full moon happens in the opposite sign of the sun, and then the new moon shows up in the same sign as the sun. And so when we look at this full moon in Gemini, we want to kind of reflect it back to the new moon in Gemini back in, was it May or June of this year? I don't remember. So, what have I last? How have my perceptions of the world changed in the last 6 months since that new moon in Gemini? And Gemini energy is all about communication and showing up. This is the beginnings of friendships. It has to do with like your neighborhood, rules the third house of communication and short distance travel, right? And so with this full moon energy and the sun opposition to Sagittarius, I almost said Saturn, um, in opposition to Sagittarius, Sagittarius is all about philosophy and long term travel, long distance travel, taking everything that we've learned and um, creating deeper meanings from that information. Where Gemini is like, let's get to the point, and Sagittarius is like, okay, let's sit in this, right? What alchemy can we create from the information we've learned along the way? And both, are fun-loving signs. Sagittarius is kind of like the party animal, and Gemini is really about wanting to get to know everybody around them. So there's a lot of really beautiful energy with this full moon around socializing, but it's also about really getting clear on like what habits are no longer serving you as we're getting ready to move into the next set of winter months. So the next lunar cycle, the new moon in Sagittarius, is the last third of the astrological calendar. I'm going to be creating a little new and full moon membership that I'm going to be launching on the new moon in Sagittarius in a couple weeks here, to kind of just start to prepare for the new year and the Gregorian calendar that we follow, and get ourselves moving and getting in tune with this new and full moon energy, right? I decided to create this because I feel like guidance can be hard to come by. Guidance that teaches us how to tune into ourselves without going off willy nilly. And so I wanted to kind of create this close, intimate container of guidance for people who want to get more tuned in to the ways of the moon and how to really channel the energy of the moon in a deeper and more meaningful way. So you can kind of, instead of just like, oh, it's a full moon, what am I going to happen? Like, start preparing ourselves as with these cycles, these ebbs and these flows between these new moons. And so this is, about people who are ready to kind of create new opportunities for themselves and in a more meaningful way. This could apply to your business. This could apply to your family, even, right? Like, what meaning do we want to create from our life? How can we step into that and bring that meaning into our life in a more intent and purposeful way? So yeah, I'm really excited. So I meant to save that for the end of the video, but I got really excited about it. So anyway, my perceptions of the world have shifted a lot, which has brought me to wanting to offer this to people. And so the Six of Cups reversed came up for this card and for this position. And the Six of Cups is about kind of like reflecting on childhood relationships, lessons we learned from childhood. And I know for me, the last 6 months, if I think back to May, this is where I started to really uncrack some like deep childhood wounding in like a really intense and meaningful way, and really get in tune with that inner child that, as a child, I was so like ambitious and positive and just excited about the world and still very intuitive. And then somewhere along the way, as like adulthood kind of came in, it's most people go through this, right? We do all these amazing things as children to learn about the world around us, and then adulthood kind of comes in and knocks us off our feet a little bit, and we like kind of submit to like the doldrums of being an adult. And there was a part of me that was like, no, I want to get back to who I was as a child, with the wisdom that I have now, but still that same optimistic spirit, and bring that perspective back to my life in a really deep way. And so when the Six of Cups reverse came up, it was just really, when I first saw that, when I was first laying out the cards, I didn't like sit and think about it too much, but look at the cards as you're laying them out. It's like, wow, yeah, like I really have gone back and healed a lot of inner child wounds, and done a lot of inner child healing, and feel like I'm stepping more into a deeper connection with that inner child self, with the wisdom that I've created and grown as an adult. So I was really happy to see this affirmation come up for me, that I truly feel this on a cellular level, where I feel more in tune with, just allowing myself to express myself from that place of authenticity that a child shows up with, letting go of the filters of wounding that could get in the way of expressing myself. So really love that card. And so what new information have I learned that I can teach others? The Lovers reversed came up. Oof. Yikes. The Lovers is really about coming into communion with others, coming into harmony with yourself in order to connect with others. It's about balance, the good and the bad. It's not always about like deep, intimate relationships, although that can be the case. And let me tell you, what new information have I learned that I can teach others? I definitely feel like through the course of this healing that I've gone on, I mean, it's been a 2-year cycle. I've been in my second North Node return these last couple of years, 36, 37, going to be 38. So I'm still the North Node is now in Aries, but I'm still like on the tail end of my node return, which with a North Node in Taurus and South Node in Scorpio, there's a lot of like deep personal upheaval that really got me into tune with that childhood wounding. But through that, I really learned how to, my friend Ani, when you're watching this, Ani, I hope you'll appreciate this, said to me about her relationship. Relationships can be hard, and there's this, oh, let's break up. But what she learned was to break into her partner. And that really resonated with me because, through the majority of my adult life, I was single, and now here I have an amazing partner with 2 kids. And it's so easy to just be like, this isn't working, let's move on. And having that conversation with her, I was like, how can I break into my partner? And learning to be more vulnerable and learning to grow together as people has been really valuable. And learning to just trust that commitment and that partnership. So yeah, I definitely feel the lover is showing up where it's like, it's not always going to look like you think it is. And how can I bring balance to that relationship? I had a conversation with a client where I feel like the hardest part of a relationship is knowing when to maintain a boundary, a personal boundary, versus compromising your boundaries, right? Like a relationship takes compromise, but not to the extent that we lose ourselves in the process, right? That's having those boundaries. Where do we get to discern when it's time to compromise and when it's time to maintain the boundary? And so kind of learning that by allowing myself to be vulnerable, going through this inner child healing has been really profound work for me. And I think it's definitely informed how I show up for my clients now in a more meaningful way. So really love that showed up as well. How has verbalizing, I have terrible handwriting. How has verbalizing my emotions impacted my closest relationships this year? Well, we have the Ace of Pentacles here. And the Ace is all about new opportunity, fresh perspective. And I have definitely allowed myself to be vulnerable and show up and just talk about some of the healing that I've gone through around the inner child healing and some of the wounding that I experienced and how that showed up as intrusive thoughts, and how I've really worked to understand how the intrusive thoughts were just showing me what I needed to heal in a deep level, and that's what led me back to the childhood wounding, really working to heal that in a deep way. And so it definitely creates new opportunity, right, to show up, to just really be vulnerable, allows you to show up in a new way to people, and it offers new opportunity to create more meaningful relationships. The Pentacles is all about that earth energy, which is about physical environment and money. And my first instinct is, this allows me to, create new business relationships. But I think it's deeper than that. I think this is about learning how to show up in a physical way for those relationships. This is about like connecting with people on a more grounded way, right? Not just like willy-nilly, fly by the seat of my pants, fair weather friend, but like showing up and actually connecting with people in a really tangible way, like in an emotional way, creates a lot more grounding and creates more community. And that builds resources, right? And like, I'm not doing that just to like, figure out. I mean, yeah, yes, like I'm here to grow a business, but showing up and being vulnerable with people and building relationships, while that will potentially help my business, that was the intention, is really just about building a deeper community to feel supported and to support people in a more meaningful way. And that will have deeper implications, right? But the intention is just to have more community. And I feel like the Pentacles is really kind of showing up as like just coming across as being a card about community, right? I'm getting the opportunity to grow a deeper community by being more vulnerable and taking the time to connect with people in a way that I really haven't before. you know, because I'm finally allowing myself to feel safe in relationship as well. And I feel like the Lovers reversed is kind of showing that as well, right? Not even just with my partner, but just in friendships in general, allowing myself to feel safe in relationship. And not just hold people at arm's length with love, but to actually take them in and commune on a heart-to-heart level. So yeah, I like that. It's really beautiful. What valuable lessons have I learned from others? Well, we have the Five of Wands. And the Five of Wands shows potentially some conflict here, but it's really about learning to stand in your own personal power. And I definitely, I follow a bunch of other healing professionals. I've learned so much from the people I followed. And I've been doing a lot of reading and personal growth. And the thing that everybody says over and over is just be yourself, just be yourself, be yourself. And but allowing that to happen really can feel quite vulnerable. And so allowing yourself to show up and be proud, right? Like sharing, I did a post on Facebook sharing my thoughts around sharing the intrusive thoughts that I experienced, right? I was going through some gender questioning, the intrusive thoughts around being transgender. And like, it was really, that was a call to just heal my ability to feel safe and strong as a woman. And, you know, it was just interesting how it showed up that way. But being okay with talking about that out loud and not worrying about, is this going to offend someone or not, and just expressing myself, just sharing what I went through for the sake of sharing it with no other agenda, just to help and to also help people, if you may be experiencing intrusive thoughts in any way, shape, or form, like sharing how I've worked through those intrusive thoughts and what the lessons behind that can help, maybe trigger something for someone else to understand intrusive thoughts, where they come from, how to work with that, how to release it, right? And so kind of just, not standing down when it came time to speak up and speak my truth. So yeah, I definitely learned that from the example of others, and I hope I can share that same example with other people as well. Right? Like there's a quote, there's no original content. There's hundreds of thousands of years of people, recycling the same thoughts. And there's nothing wrong with that, because even though it's not original, it is original to me. And I think that people sometimes forget like how to value their individuality, or to value the individuality of others. Oh, someone else already said that, but not the way this person's saying it, not the way I'm saying it, and find value in that, and be willing to show up anyway. And so what valuable lessons have I been able to teach others? The Ten of Swords, the dark night of the soul, right? How to allow ego death, and how to come out of that a more whole person, right? It can be really scary to go through, it's spiritual awakening, a dark night of the soul, ego death. When you start to kind of look at these parts of yourself and understanding like how you act, the way you act, and how you show up in the world, the way you show up in the world, and working to heal and resolve that, it takes a lot of strength of character to be willing to admit that you maybe were doing something wrong, and understanding that it came from a place of wounding does not excuse the behavior, and being willing to take accountability for that and work to shift that behavior so you can show up differently for those around you. So, I try to lead by example. I try to learn from others' examples as well, right? We are all each other's teachers. We are all mirrors of each other. We are here to learn something from each other. And it is not easy, but it can be done with ease when you are able to reach out and get support, right? And so support can look very different depending on who you are, but being willing to open up and ask for that support, whew, not easy. Trust me, for all, but it's been very important for me to practice what I preach. And so, I went out there and I found the energy healers, and I listened audible to the books. I spent time in self-reflection, and then I showed up to my partner and said, hey, sorry, I've been doing this or doing that. How can it be better? Not always that eloquently. Sometimes it would come after a surge of emotion and something that needed to be screamed out, and tears streaming down my face, and being like, whoa, I can't believe I just said that. Okay, how can I pull this back? How can I learn from this? And how can I honor my partner for withstanding this right now? Like, geez, I am so lucky to have Anthony. And being able, and just the gratitude that, he held space for me to go through that in a really deep way. How can I approach my problems in a more logical way? This made me laugh. We have the Two of Pentacles. So as a Gemini rising with a Libra moon and a Pisces sun, I have all the signs of duality. It's very easy for me to be the diplomat and to play the devil's advocate, but then that also means it's very easy for me to never finally make a decision. So approaching these problems, like, yes, I have to weigh the options, but getting grounded, coming at it from a more practical perspective, getting, earth up energy also represents values as well. Getting really clear on my values and figuring out what is in alignment with my value and what is not, and moving forward in that place, right? And again, this Ace of Pentacles showing up, just allowing myself to create more value in the relationships, not just financial value, but emotional value, perspective value, values of perspective. And I don't know how to edit these videos, so if you're watching this, my apologies, but I'm getting thrown off. I'm just going to show up anyway, right? You just got to show up. So this was really beautiful full moon spread for me to kind of like sit and reflect, like, oh my goodness, like I have done the work, and the cards are showing up to kind of like validate all that work that I've done. And while I haven't been like consistent with like showing up and uploading these videos to YouTube the last few months, I have been consistent with my own practice. And I can tell you that having a consistent practice in whatever form of introspection that you choose, whether it's journaling or tarot or astrology or a combination of all of it, it helps to keep yourself balanced. And I know that if I haven't had this practice, I don't know that I would I guess what I really want to say is having this practice allows me to truly prioritize what I need to focus on in the moment. What can I leave for a later point in time, right? And so that's part of the reason why I want to create this new and full moon kind of membership. We're bringing together a small group of people to show up together every month to build this practice, to build this community, to help us figure out what's really important, and then having the support of moving through that, to follow through, to take the actions that are necessary using the wisdom and the guidance of the tarot. So, you know, there are so many ways to move through life, and it's all about finding what resonates with you on a deep soul level, and those values, what's important and what's not, and getting clear on that. And sometimes just having a tool like the tarot cards to help us get clear, about what's showing up for us. The tarot is just a pictorial representation of the themes and energy in our life at this point in time. Yes, some people like to say they can use it to predict certain outcomes, but I kind of stay away from that, because the way I like to think of the tarot cards is it shows us where things are heading without intervention. So if you like what's showing up, great. If you don't like what's showing up, this is where you can take intervention, right? And find more meaningful ways to interact with the energy in your life. So while some might say, this is devil's work or it's fortune telling, no, it's not. For me, it's just the ability to kind of get a pictorial representation of what's going on. Like, I have a monkey mind. I'm constantly whirling through all the possibilities, but then I look at these cards and I see how the energy is showing up and what's being represented to me in this moment. And it just helps provide clarity. And if there was something I didn't like here or that didn't resonate, the message in the card would help me discern, well, how can I change that to get the outcome that I truly want, right? But generally, it's just a beautiful affirmation of like what's going on in your life. And if it's not a beautiful affirmation, that means there's some work to be done. And having the support to get that work done is priceless. So I, having done a lot of group work myself over the years, all the way back to when I was like 24 years old, I participated in something called the Awakened Heart School. And it was just that was the beginning of like my self-development journey in a really beautiful and meaningful way. Instead of like just living in the energy of spiritual bypass of like, I study astrology and I smoke pot and I'm spiritual, and then not reflecting on myself and how I'm showing up in the world. And then stepping into the Awakened Heart School was like, oh no, you need to look at yourself. You need to learn what you're doing, how that's affecting people. How do you really want to show up that way? How can I be a better person? And so over the years, as I've grown and I've developed and I've worked with other groups, having a group container can be so powerful. And I love the tarot, so I want to bring that to people and bring it in with the new and the full moon readings every month. And so this is an opportunity for you, like, to have some guidance in your life, have some support to make some changes, get in tune with the energies in your life, get in tune with the celestial energy in a deeper way, and have some guidance and support. I think I'm being redundant now. So the link for the special offer will be in the description or the comments below. Please feel free to reach out to me. My email is reachingbetteralternatives@gmail.com. If you have any questions or concerns, I'm here for you. And I would really love to have you join me in this container. We're going to be kicking it off with the new moon in Sagittarius, which is December 12th, I believe. That's a Tuesday. So we'll probably have our first community reading and a nice intimate container that Monday. So you have a day before the new moon to kind of get ready and reflect. We'll always do these readings a day or two before the new or the full moon, so you can prepare to fully embrace that energy in a deep way. All right. As always, it is my intention that this message finds whoever needs to hear it the most. And I hope that you'll join me. And if you don't join me, but this sounds like something that someone else might appreciate, please like, share, and follow, and share this video with that person. And please stay tuned for more updates and more videos. Namaste, my friends, and happy full moon in Gemini.